What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Red and Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I am joined by my guy, Mike Andrews of Nothing But Niners. Our guy, Matt, will be here very shortly, but we didn't want to keep you guys waiting any longer, so we're going to go ahead and go live, and he'll hop in when he gets home. Mike, how you doing tonight?
I am great, man. Just got done celebrating my dad's birthday. So we were out having a really, really good time. If I get a little loose with the lips, I apologize in advance, but I'm going to try and stay under control this entire episode. I'll do my best.
Okay,
Ready
all
to talk
right.
some Niners, though.
Let's do it, man. It's a Sunday night on a holiday weekend. Happy, I guess, early Labor Day to everybody watching this. So we'll have a great show planned for you guys tonight. Like I said, Matt will be here shortly. We just don't want to keep you guys waiting. We haven't gone live since last Wednesday, I believe. My math's correct. But Mike, I know you've done some shows. Obviously, a lot has happened since then. Brandon Aiyuk got his contract yesterday. All this craziness with Ricky Pearsall, which, by the way, we just want to get out right away and say, thank God he's okay. Looks like he's going to be fine, and he's on his way to recovery. Was he released from the hospital already today? I'm sure everybody knew, in case you didn't, he was shot in an attempted robbery in Union Square in San Francisco yesterday. Kept his Rolex in the midst of all that. Guy got shot too with his own gun. But we'll get to that a little later. The Brandon Aiyuk extension, Mike, and I wish I had clipped the clip, but we talked about this extension / possible trade. I want to say 2 shows ago, maybe 3 shows ago. Everybody was talking about the dog. Pretty Ricky the dog. Pretty Ricky the dog. Well, Ricky says this. Ricky says that. Ricky says he's a Steeler. And we ended the show each taking a vote. Is he traded? Yes or no? All 3 of us said no. All 3 of us said he gets extended. This is roughly the amount. I know you've done a show on this, but I haven't spoken to you about this. So when the news hit your phone, what was your initial reaction? Were you kind of like, yeah, that makes sense? Or what did you think when you saw the numbers?
Not going to lie to you, man. The very first notification I saw for it, I don't remember where it came from, whether it was through text from someone else. I thought it was fake. I hate that I have to open a tweet that is sent to me and like read every individual letter to make sure it's a real person, because you just pay $7.99 and you got the blue check mark. It'll be Ian Rappaport, but the I is an L and all kinds of nonsense. So, I hate that I have to go through that. So I was a little hesitant to go out and celebrate right away. But once it was all said and done, once we realized that it was legit and everything, I felt like it wasn't even and I told you so. It was like, this is where the logic was all along. The Niners were not going to be a better team without Brandon Aiyuk prior to the 2024 draft. Period. No matter how you try to spin it, I don't care if the compensation was 3 first-round picks, which we knew it wasn't going to be for a wide receiver needing a deal of this magnitude. But I don't care if that was the compensation. There was nothing that could have happened post-draft that made the 49ers a better team this season, forward. So without Aiyuk on the roster. So we felt like this was kind of, where it needed to be. This is what we were looking forward to. And it was just like, I'm glad it's over. We started pointing out and highlighting the September 6th or 8th, it depends on who you ask, but this date that Nick Bosa signed his deal, right? The 49ers have only had to extend 2 first-round picks since this Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch regime has taken over, Nick Bosa being the first, and that one happened well into September. And I'm saying well, but we were almost a whole week into September by the time Nick Bosa signed his deal. We as fans were just being selfish and impatient, expecting anything sooner than, the end of August. Everybody else who got extensions from the team that were homegrown talent all got them in mid to late August, and we were just being selfish and impatient.
Yeah, and okay. So this contract comes out, right? And everyone's like, okay, 4 years, 120 million, 30 million per year. We weren't sure what the bonuses and what the structure looked like, obviously, immediately. But for some reason, somebody, and I would imagine from the team's end, felt the need to have people like Adam Schefter tweet out, and I'm reading the quote here, verbatim, in the end, Brandon Aiyuk accepted the same deal that has been on the table since August 12th. Mind you, this tweet initially said August 10th. It was then revised to say August 12th. Make of that what you will. August 12th, per league sources, his hold-in did not alter any part of his new 4-year, $120 million extension. He took the same deal that had been there in previous weeks. Hold-in is over. What's the goal here? Because my mind, when I see that, I immediately think, who fed that to Schefter? What are they trying to get across? When you read that, what's your take on it?
My take was Schefter, Silver, and Rossini were all salty and bitter that they had no inside information on what was actually going on, because that information was factually incorrect. Don't take my word for it. His agent quote tweeted that same exact tweet and told him straight up, you were wrong, but it doesn't matter because the check clears the same way. I got nothing to argue and nothing to prove at this point, right? The agent goes out and says straight away, you were wrong. What you just tweeted is not right. Brandon Aiyuk did have to hold out for more. He did have to hold out for it, whether it be another year, whether it be for more money per year, whether it was the guarantee money, whatever. There was something that was going on that this hold in was warranting for him to get, and that's what he had to do. So I have zero reason to believe that that's not true. If it's the same exact information, here's why logic says that that tweet was incorrect. He was at the practices. He was in the wide receivers rooms. The only thing he wasn't doing was actually physically running routes. Yep. And when we heard from John Lynch, he said, I've seen him running. He's in phenomenal shape. That means that the beat writers didn't see him running, and we didn't see him running during preseason games. So what that tells me is everybody who was buying into the dog caricatures, rumors, and reports just bought it lock, stock, and barrel for whatever stupid reason. And then they decided that, all right, we're going to run with this. We're going to support this story. Meanwhile, here's the flip side, right? You got the Silvers, Rossinis, and Schefter, right? Schefter's been a little disconnected from the NFL for a while now. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. It's more Rappaport now and Garofolo now and Palacero now, right? Those are the guys that are connected with the NFL. Those are the guys that are specifically connected with the NFL. Hell, even Josina Anderson, right? Those are the people that have been connected with either players and or agents directly. Everybody else was kind of just grasping at straws and throwing all these other stories and narratives out there, trying to make it seem like they heard something that they didn't really hear, but they knew that the Niners fan base was going to click it up, and engagement is going to go through the roof. I have no problem admitting to you guys straight up when I see BS. And what I saw from those people were absolute BS. And being wrong, Rossini tweeted out something very similar to what Adam Schefter's tweet was. Oh, it was the same deal all along. In the end, this is what it was. Yeah, no, you guys are wrong. You guys are wrong. And it's okay to be wrong, right? I understand that you went out there and you tried to stake a claim and, oh, I had it first, or I heard the deal and blah, blah, blah. You guys were wrong. It absolutely made a difference, him holding in, him waiting it out and waiting for other people to get their deals done and all that, so on and so forth. He was never trying to be the highest paid wide receiver. He was never trying to be one or two at the highest paid wide receivers. He always felt like, hey, we got a really good team around me. I should be a top 5 paid wide receiver. And that's exactly where he fell on the scale of people signing their deals in 2024. He came right in, exactly tied at the number 5 spot. I don't think that's a coincidence. I do believe that the Niners did offer him something right after the Super Bowl, which was significantly lower. And then after these new deals came in, they had to wait it out, restructure, and get back to where it was. And so I feel that it was that way. I'm not saying that Schefter is a hack. I am saying that Rossini and Silver are hacks because they both work for The Athletic, and their job is to drive clicks and views to their columns. But Schefter, I'm not willing to go out there and say that because I do believe that he still knows some people and could have not been as lazy. I think Schefter was lazy. I think Rossini and Silver were doing what they needed to do to pursue clicks and engagement and interactions for their post. But, long story short is this. He's here. I was happy to see that he was here. The numbers came in where I thought they were going to be. Forget the numbers, for example. I thought he was going to be paid like a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. That's where I thought it was going to be. I don't control those numbers. If someone got, if the 5th spot was 32 million, I thought he was going to come in at 32 million. The Niners have done nothing but extend their own homegrown talent. The last first round pick to not get another deal for the San Francisco 49ers was Eric Armstead. and the one before them or before him was DeForest Buckner. And neither of those guys were picks of this regime. This team has rewarded their own star players. John Lynch has not let any of his star players out of the building.
Yeah, star players, not all first round picks though. I mean, Solomon Thomas walked, Reuben Foster,
yeah.
But star players, correct. That is correct.
Yes, no, those guys weren't deserving of extension.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm talking about those that were deserving, and not just first round picks, 5th round picks, 4th round picks, 3rd round picks.
Correct.
Anybody who was a star player that this regime has drafted, they have made a concerted effort to go out and bring those guys back. They value the homegrown talent here.
Also, speaking of patterns, I think that's now 4-4 or 5-5 players that requested a trade that did not get traded. They either signed an extension or finished out their existing contract. I think
Robbie
back
Gould.
To Mostert, Robbie Gould, Aiyuk, Debo.
Yeah.
And maybe there's one more, maybe there's not. But my whole take on this, right? And you spoke about Aiyuk's agent, Ryan Williams, I think his name is, quoted that tweet of Schefter saying it's just factually inaccurate, but the check still clears either way. So my whole point was like, why are they trying to put this out? And my mind went to, who made a good point in the comment? Steve-O, it said league source, not technically a 49er source, which is a good point. But if it is a 49er source, my mind went to them trying to get this narrative out there that basically is my interpretation is signaling to players like Purdy and Domdor Lenore and other players that are up for a contract, please don't do this again, because whatever Brandon did, that didn't affect this. We were going to come to this contract either way. That had no impact on us giving them this money. Please don't do this. Please don't make us go through this. And to me, it kind of looked desperate. It kind of looked like the deal's already done. Why are you coming out here and saying, yeah, by the way, we won this deal. And you know, but, dude, it is what it is. It's water under the bridge. Just let it go. And if you do approach these contracts in good faith, like I believe they do, even though the players may feel a little stiffed at the beginning, then I think there's nothing to really worry about moving forward with Purdy, with Lenore, and your other homegrown talent.
This goes back to what we were trying to break down to you guys 2 months ago, right? When he went on the the pivot. Yeah, when he went on the pivot and said there was a deal on the table and I thought it was time to break the suit out, right? The truth of the matter is I do believe that they offered him a top 5 contract at that time, but that might have only been $26 million. His agent knows, because they talk to other agents, hey, my guy's about to get a deal, my guy's about to get a deal, so on and so forth. If you go to any website and break down the 2024 deals, it's like, hey, wait this out, you'll get your money, because the Niners move slow. That's the agent's job to know. That's the agent's job to know. The requesting of a trade was real. They did go out and shop it. And the reason is because we have to figure out what his value is outside of this building. Do the teams value him the same way that we value him? All that was real. None of that was fake, guys. So let's be very, very clear with what we're saying here. But the Niners take their time and do things the right way. So when it comes to Purdy's extension, when it comes to Lenore and or Ward's extension, one of those, I believe it's going to be one of the two, not both of them. But when it comes to their extensions, don't expect this to happen in July. Don't expect it to happen. It's either going to happen during this active season or it's going to happen in August at some point in time. And we're going to go through this whole thing all over again as the fans become irate and upset that it's not happening as fast as it should. We're going to go through it all again. And unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about it over and over again. But the truth of the matter is the Niners operate in their own time, in their own windows. And there's a reason these guys show up to camp and are in the meeting rooms. You know what I'm saying? Now, I think that Trent's thing is a little bit different. Trent has money. He doesn't have what I'm calling guarantees, what he's calling guarantees, but he has money. He is a major hit on the salary cap. And so that is a little bit different. But when it comes to these other guys, like the homegrown talent, like I said, not someone that we acquired via trade, not someone that we picked up as a free agent, the homegrown talent, the Niners take care of their own. And so I have to think that Lenore is the favorite over a guy like Mooney Ward.
Yeah. Also, you mentioned this contract could come for Lenore mid-season. He already had the possibility. There's reports out that he specifically chose the 49ers tried to enter contract negotiations with him this past offseason. And he said, no. I could see what's coming. I'm a rising star. I'm going to bet on myself. And he chose to withhold contract negotiations until after the season. So he's planning on having a major season.
So at first thought, at first look, you feel like that might be a bad idea, right? You might say, Ward, what are you doing? You know, once Purdy gets his deal, there's going to be pennies left for everybody else. Normally, I would agree if it weren't for the fact that Ward is also a free agent. Huff is also going to be looking for a contract extension. So now that entire secondary, you got 3 out of 4 guys in the secondary as starters that are up for contract, and Ward being, I mean, not Ward, Lenore being the higher guy with the more consistent track record. While we all know that Huff got the All-Pro nod that one year, let's be honest, that one year, some of us were like, he got the All-Pro votes, but I don't know if he really played up to that. Right. Not that he was bad, but I don't know if he played up to the All-Pro nod. And then he's also been unavailable, where you got Ward and Lenore, both guys available. I think Lenore's been available a little bit more than Ward has, because Ward has battled some injuries off and on, some little tweaks here and there. But again, it goes back to the homegrown talent. He is playing the odds in his favor right now. Yes, it's going to be time for Purdy, but Purdy's not going to be the only person that gets extended in the upcoming offseason. So I like what he's doing. He's playing the numbers, he's playing the odds, he's rolling the dice, and the dice are honestly leaning in his favor for a nice deal. So he did the right thing. Yeah.
Now, Mike, I was a little shocked to hear your take on Diana Rossini. I do agree she kind of is a little out there, eccentric to try and drive clicks. But I was always under the impression that she has legitimate sources, and what she puts out on X doesn't drive to The Athletic per se, because it's just a tweet with no link. But if you guys question her credibility, more power to you. It doesn't change me, but I saw this report from her and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. And Matt, when he rejoins, but she posted right after the extension, the 49ers were only willing to trade Brandon Aiyuk if they could get a top flight wide receiver to replace him. They offered a 3rd round pick to Denver for Cortland Sutton, and then would have dealt Aiyuk to the Steelers, but the Broncos declined the offer. So he stays in San Francisco. What's your take on that, Mike? Is that something that you think is just completely BS?
I will give the question back to you guys. When has Cortland Sutton ever been a top flight receiver? Not a good receiver. Top flight and good receivers are 2 very different things. I challenge you guys to tell me when Cortland Sutton has ever been a top flight receiver in the NFL. Tell me one time he's ever been top 10. Tell me one time he's ever been top 15 as a wide receiver in the NFL. I challenge you guys right now.
I mean, last year he had 772 yards. The year before that, 829 yards. Year before that, 776 yards. He was injured in 2020. 2019, he had 1,100 yards, which was his best season. In 2018, he had 700 yards.
1,100 yards is not top 10. It's not top 15. So he has never been a top flight. Even by her own words, her tweet doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. And she's from Jersey. I hate shitting on people from Jersey, but she was putting out bullshit. She was mad that she was wrong with everything that she was putting out before that, and she had to try to save face somehow. And Diana Rossini, just like Mike Silver, once connected, now all of a sudden are being kind of blacklisted. Listen, I wish you guys could understand, and I'm trying to say this without any vitriol or anything like that, but when it comes to the people who work for The Athletic, which is a pay-based site, you have to subscribe. That is subscription-based. They have to do something to drive clicks and subscriptions. They have to come out there with the outlandish takes and get people to subscribe over there. That's why they put out those kind of posts all the time. Look at Mike Silver. Look at her. Look at Tim Kawakami. This is what they do. This is exactly what they do. They try to drive the clicks, and I just can't trust anything that they say anymore.
Yeah. With that said, Matt, welcoming you to the show. We're just discussing Aiyuk's extension.
Yeah.
If you want to share your thoughts on that.
Sure. I think it's another issue, kind of behind the times, as it were. It's done. It's over with. We can move on. Another issue of Parag magic, I think. You talk about $47 million due before April 21st, 2025. I think that is a very team-friendly deal. You're talking about 47 of the $76 million guaranteed on the contract due before April 21st, 2025 next season. That to me screams that he is not going to get past the first, I don't know, 2 or 3 years of this deal. It looks like 2026, his base salary kind of kicks up really high. That's prime,
Negotiate.
reinstituting that deal. We're going to restructure that. We're going to go back. We're going to amend that. We're not going to go through. This is one of those things where I was just like, hey, like, this is what we're talking about with Brandon Aiyuk. There's no way we're going to get through 4 or 5 years of this contract extension where he's going to make it through 100% of this contract. There's just no way. And we're kind of in a similar situation with Trent Williams, and that's kind of the thing that he's trying to get done. Jamar Chase in Cincinnati, same thing. Both of those players have 3 years left on their deal, and they're in a position where they're just like, look, I need to get more guarantees. I need to get more money or whatever. It's the nature of the NFL with a rising salary cap going forward. We're talking about new TV deals, new TV money. Everything is going forward for the NFL. The cap is going to raise. Saving cap now is worth less than building cap in the future. And I just think that the Brandon Aiyuk contract just makes a lot of sense for the team. Again, you get that $47 million out of the way, and then all of a sudden you have the room to work Brock Purdy. You have the room to work Charvarius Ward or Diamador Lenore. I don't think you can do both of those guys. I think you can do one of those guys. But there's at least room to do one of those guys. Brandon Aiyuk getting it done. Reports are he had the same deal on August 12th. I don't know how true that is, but at the same time, $30 million AAV doesn't really matter in terms of, what he's getting, signing bonus and base salary. His base salary went from $14 million this year to, I believe, like 8.1 or something like that. So it gives the 49ers flexibility. So I think that was a good deal and allows them to move forward. It's just going to come down to, what do you want to do going forward? I really feel like Debo is going to be a guy in 2025 that they really look at and go, what can we do with this, 20-something million dollars against the cap? Can we kick this can down the road or something else? It's going to be interesting, but I think that getting the Brandon Aiyuk deal done is a huge win for the 49ers. Now all you got to do is get Trent Williams in the building, and all of a sudden this team is off to the races, and we're going. So I'm sure we'll talk about Ricky Pearsall later, but in terms of the top flight players, everybody seems to be in place, and it's going to be a good thing for the 49ers going forward.
I do want to touch on one thing that Matt just said really quick. The first 2 years of Aiyuk's deal are really the ones where he's locked in, and then after that, it's when the renegotiation period will kick in. It is not a coincidence at all that this year is number 1, 2025 is number 2, and that is also when Debo's contract has the outs in it, or he's going to be up for renegotiation. I think the Niners are going to say, which one of these guys do we want to keep longer, and blah 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 blah. Maybe even restructure or redo both of those deals to create some more cap space. This is all very well done by Prague in favor of the team, as well as the agent Ryan Williams, to make sure that his guy can do what he needs to do, significantly younger, and doesn't depend on the physical attributes that a guy like Debo depends on for his availability and all.
And I brought up his contract like details here. I know it's kind of like getting in the nitty gritty, but if you guys wanted to talk about it, Jason Hurley, 49erscap.com, broke it all down. Like Mike said, the first 2 years, it's kind of very front loaded. $23 million signing bonus, $1.125 million fully guaranteed base salary. Also got $22.855 million option bonus due in 2025. So here's all. I'll link it in the chat if you guys want to check it out. But it was a really good structuring, in my opinion.
Yeah, and if you look and you really get to 2027 is when it gets really ridiculous. And so 2026 to me is where they're like, okay, let's rework this thing. You're going to go to 44.1 million base, total salary or whatever, 29.15 base, 4.6 million signing bonus proration, $4.5 million option proration, yada, yada, yada. that's going to be the huge hit for the cap. And it's one of those things where, again, all these teams kick the can down the road. 2026 is kicking that can for Brandon Aiyuk. And if they can get to 2026 and kick that can even further down the road by either converting base salary to signing bonus or whatever it is that they do when they work their cap magic. And we've seen that 100,000 times with Kittle, Aiyuk, with every other team around the league. This is what the new kind of system is, right? You kick the can down the road in hopes that the higher salary cap helps you to eat that dead cap money later on, 4, 5, 6, 10 years down the road. The 49ers are able to do that. And I think that that's where they kind of look for Aiyuk to, the ideal to go. It's gonna be interesting to see, but I feel like this is a good move for the 49ers. Again, the fact that he lowered his cap hit this year tells me that they're going to front load a guaranteed rework of Trent Williams' contract in anticipation that in the next year or so, Trent Williams is probably going to retire. We'll touch that in the next offseason where the 49ers in the 2025 draft are most likely going to have to go left tackle really early in the draft to replace Trent Williams.
Yeah.
But they did a good job of setting it up so that everything is in place for this Super Bowl window, this Super Bowl team. This team can go forward and really go for broke and really try to, hey, this is our year, 2024, balls to the wall. Like, we got disappointed last year, but with everything outside of the team, everything inside of the team, let's block out all that noise. Let's use it as motivation. Let's really get down to the nitty-gritty, and we're going to go for the Super Bowl or bust at this point. And then 2025 will be what it's going to be. But I think this is the prime Super Bowl window for the 49ers. It's really now or never for them. I know we've talked about their Super Bowl window being open, and we kind of been like, they have these guys. They can go forward. It's not really a big deal. But if you're looking at Trent Williams probably going to retire, Brock Purdy needs to get paid, which is going to eat up a huge number of that cap. And you have a lot of guys on the free agent market. I think this year is actually the year where the Super Bowl window is wide open. And if you don't get it done this year, you're looking at a difficult road to pave going forward. This is where they got to go. So everything beyond this is just contract negotiations, salaries, restructures, whatever. But this is the team. This is the talent. This is what we got going on. And this is the team that has to win the Super Bowl. Otherwise, it's going to be like they're going to step back to the wild card, maybe not make it to the NFC Championship, and have to retool for a couple of years before they can get back. So very prime year for the 49ers, and I'm here for it for sure.
Mike, you got a question here from Joey. I'm going to bring it up. I thought this was interesting too. We talked about this in our group chat. The team, when they put out the final 53-man roster graphics, they have all the cornerbacks listed. And then in the very last picture, it's DB and Diamador Lenore is listed there instead of under the cornerbacks. Do you think that is them labeling him into more of a nickel guy and not a true outside guy and not having to pay top flight corner money to Lenore when his contract's up?
Yeah, it's a direct counter to Lenore. If they tried to enter negotiations now and he turned it down, this is a direct response to that, right? And so what the team is going to do is, well, where'd you get most of your snaps? The truth of the matter is most teams play 3 wide receiver sets. So the base or the common defensive formation now is nickel and or dime, right? So he's going to slide down to the slot. Slot corners are known to not get paid as much as outside guys. So this is the team listing him that way. And this is the Jimmy Graham effect. I don't know if you guys remember when Jimmy Graham was negotiating a couple of years ago with, hey, I lined out wide. I should get paid like a wide receiver. And they're like, no, you're listed as a tight end and all that stuff. They listed him as a DB for a reason. Just to try to counter what they're doing. And I like that, Lenore is confident enough to say, hey, I'm going to prove my value no matter where you guys line me up. And what his counter to them listing him as a DB is going to be is who has more reps than me on the defensive side of the ball in the secondary, right? We're going to see just the first 3 games, right? Huff is probably not going to play the first 2 or 3 games. So that eliminates him getting more snaps. than Diamador Lenore. You're going to have Mooney Ward getting a lot of those snaps, maybe even the same amount as Diamador Lenore, but he gets dinged up more than Demo. And then Demo is going to be the one guy that isn't leaving the field regardless of the formation that they run out there. So it's already negotiation time, and it starts with the listing of the position. So we're going to see a little bit of a back and forth there, and it's all respectable, right? No one should be upset. This is everybody covering their own grounds, covering their own bases, and trying to secure the future for said player just the right way. I like it on both parties, and Demo betting on himself is a beautiful thing. That's what we want to see.
Yeah. I think that this is one of the better cases over the last few years for this team of homegrown talent really developing into I don't know if we'd call Diamador Lenore a star just yet, but a player on the cusp of that level. And it kind of feels like this season, he's on the cusp of being as good, if not better than Charvarius Ward, who was the 49ers, top signing a couple of years ago. And there's like this excitement around him. And to be honest with you, he's like one of the few players that appears to be fully bought in, fully locked in. This dude has been posting himself, working out, watching film like all off season. So I think he knows what the cards are in his hand, and he's willing to play them to his benefit, obviously, but he definitely knows what time it is and how he needs to show up to get paid. And I would bet he does. I think he is going to have a monster year and make the 49ers make that difficult choice, like Matt said, between Ward and Lenore. So we'll see which way they go. Was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about?
Well, I will just say that if they're able to successfully label Diamador Lenore as something other than an outside corner, they have a small chance of being able to re-sign them both under the auspices of, Demo's like the slot guy or like a utility guy, not as valuable as an outside guy. So we can sign Ward and Lenore under the assumption that Ward's like an above average corner in the NFL, and Diamador Lenore, slot guy, you can get them for cheap or whatever. So I think the 49ers are trying to get one over on the players themselves. We'll see if it's able to work. I don't think it will. I think that Diamador Lenore is going to know what his value is. But again, the fact that they're classifying Diamador Lenore as a DB just in general rather than an outside corner or something like that is the 49ers trying to play games a little bit. So we'll see if it works. Probably won't, but doesn't hurt to try if you're the team, for sure. Yeah.
We've seen this bite them in the ass before with guys like Jimmy Ward, the manipulation of his position and where he played and things like that, But again, this is a win-win for the 49ers, If they can somehow manage to get both, like Matt just alluded to, then great. You know what I'm saying? I think they would love to bring both of those guys back. They're both young enough where they can get another 7 years from both of those guys. But if they have to choose between the two, it's going to be a little interesting. He is listed as the only DB on the team. Everybody else is a corner or a safety. He's the only one that's listed as a DB. And I thought it was interesting that you got 4 positions at one and then him being the only guy, and they chose to use his graphic. That's how good and how important he is to what they're doing. They chose to use him as the graphic. So it's already playing out in his favor. They kind of messed that up. If I'm them, I got to throw Hufanga or Jair Brown up there instead of him, and they dropped the ball on that, just even from the social media aspect of it.
Yeah. It's a good point. I brought up the post just in case people didn't actually see it. But people thought initially they forgot about Lenore, because they posted this in sequential order. And as you see, Lenore was the last post on this thread. And people were like, oh, where's Diamador Lenore? Where's Diamador Lenore? And nope, they didn't forget him. They just deliberately didn't include him with the cornerbacks. And I think we can all agree, like Mike said, this is definitely something to do with contract negotiations. And that was a good point, Mike, excuse me. Maybe that was kind of insight into how they went when they initially approached him making a point to say, I'm a top outside corner and I'm going to get paid as such. And the 49ers were like, no, you're not. We're going to classify you as a slot guy here. Actually, we're including you as a slot guy in our roster breakdown. So maybe just some sleight of hand or some play there. Was there anything else about Aiyuk trade extension nonsense? Everybody having sources that you guys wanted to talk about before we move on to this craziness with Ricky Pearsall?
Yeah, I think that this whole saga with Brandon Aiyuk was drawn out. I think that this could have been avoided. I think that it lasted way too long. And we're gonna see going forward what the fallout of it is if Brandon Aiyuk is ready to go right off rip and um able to get off and running. You know, we saw last year Nick Bosa after a long contract, drawn out contract negotiation, come back and really go. He went from 18 and a half sacks down to 10 and a half sacks. He's actually admitted that the time off, the negotiation affected him in terms of his play. We'll see what it is for Brandon Aiyuk going forward. Maybe it doesn't hurt him as much, but he's going to have prime opportunity. Obviously, we're going to talk about Ricky Pearsall coming up, but the fact of Ricky Pearsall being, you know, in the situation that he is going to affect the 49ers. Brandon Aiyuk has an ability to fill that slot, but we want to see Brandon Aiyuk hit the ground running, not come out and fall trap to the guy got paid, now he's going to be not as effective. I think this could have been avoided though. I think that, again, reports are that the offer that he ended up signing was one that was on the table to August 12th. We've heard other reports saying like, hey, this is the thing with Brandon Aiyuk. The agent is telling him this is what his market value is, but Brandon Aiyuk doesn't want to listen. I don't know what's true and what's not. The fact of the matter is he's in the building, but something in me says that this could have been avoided if both sides would have came to the table in good faith and kind of negotiated this right off the bat. But he's in the building. That's a good thing. We'll move forward from here. Just some unnecessary drama though for the team, and I don't think it's great. I don't think it's great for the team, but it's done. It's over with. He's in the building. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No need to apologize. I think that, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. I think that this was all the inner workings and knowledge of the agent. I can't stress this enough. CeeDee Lamb got his deal less than 48 hours before Brandon Aiyuk, right? I think the agent knew that these deals were coming down the pike, right? So hear me out. If he signed the same not the same exact deal, but if he signed this deal earlier, he would have been a top 3 or tied for 3rd or 4th. And I think the Niners wanted to say, hey, we're going to give you 5th, top 5. I think that was their number. I think the Niners were saying, whatever the top 5 number is, we're willing to pay you that. But you know how stacked this team is. We can't afford to pay you any more than that without breaking up this group. And I think Aiyuk, who said, let me seek a trade and all that stuff, right? Like, I want to stay home. We've heard the reports that he turned down trade offers that the Niners had. So what does that mean? That means he wanted to stay. And we heard that the Niners had deals that they weren't happy with because they wanted him to stay also. So that tells me that we want to pay you in this slot, but that slot didn't exist before CeeDee Lamb signed his deal. And I think that's just the knowledge of the agent saying, hey, wait this out, be a little bit more patient with me. I promise you, we're going to get you slotted in where we want you to be. You just have to ride this thing out. CeeDee Lamb signed this deal. John Lynch goes to the podium the very next day and says, yeah, we're working things out. It's not just enough to want to get these guys here. We don't get paid for what we want. We get paid for what we can actually do. And then the very next day, they announced the Brandon Aiyuk deal. I don't think any of that was a coincidence at all. I think it was all about slotting, and they needed that last piece to fall into place.
I guess, though, we go back to the Brandon Aiyuk saying that at one point he was getting a suit ready, right? Like,
which he never wore, by the way. Just point that out.
No.
He didn't wear the suit.
He said he had a suit ready, and then he wore the wrinkliest ass Dockers and just a white button down. But that notwithstanding, there was a point where Brandon Aiyuk said, "Oh, I was at the point where I was going to bust the suit out. We were like ready to go, yada yada yada." Yeah. And it just makes you wonder, hey man, like if the 49ers just jog that situation forward quickly, would we have avoided this whole thing? That's not to say, it would have been avoided or it could have been avoided or anything else, but we're getting to the point where we know that the 49ers are known for getting their guys done in August/September. We saw it with Kittle. We saw it with Warner. We've seen it with Nick Bosa. We've seen it with Brandon Aiyuk. They're they definitely play the long game with their contracts.
Yeah.
And I think this one kind of bites them in the ass, when Aiyuk was talking about, I had the suit out, the price was like 25, 26. He ends up signing
which was
for
still
30,
top 5.
which is still, at the time.
At the time, that's the point.
Was top 5. Now it's 30, and he's
top 5. He's tied for 5th.
Well, he's 6th. If you talk about total dollars, I think he's like slightly under Tyreek Hill, who is 5th at $30 million a year. But it's like right there. You're talking about, hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars rather than millions of dollars, which I think makes a huge difference. And you just wonder. I mean, but at the same time, again, I think that the fact that he got a $120 million deal with 76 guaranteed, the guaranteed money is what the big deal is here, because the rest of it is just, again, it's accounting, it's fluff, it's whatever. 30 million AAV, cool. You can tell people I'm making 30 million a year. Great. You get to tell people that. He's never making it past 2026 on this deal. They're going to rework it, or they're going to be able to cut him, because most of his guarantee is going to be done by April 1st, 2025. You're talking about 47 of the 76 million guaranteed is going to be over with by April 1st, 2025. I think that's a huge thing. I think that's very much team friendly. And it was, again, a deal where maybe Parag and the 49ers get a little too cute for their own good. And it's the offset language, and it's the guarantees, and it's this and that ends up gumming up the works a little bit. They end up with what I think is a very team friendly deal. And again, Aiyuk gets to say, like, hey, look, I get generational wealth and $47 million before, April 2nd of next year. Yeah. So, that's cool with me. But at the same time, I think this is one where the 49ers kind of got one over, and they're going to be able to work that deal on the back half to really kind of either kick the can down the road or do something else. We'll see what it is, but they're able to go forward. I just think that this could have been done way earlier than it was, and it dragged out. I don't know, everyone here was a little bit annoyed with it, and we're just like, look, it's not about pro team or pro player or whatever you want to call it. We just want this fucking thing to be done. We're tired of talking about it.
Pay or trade.
Exactly. Yeah.
Make the move and let's move
give
on.
him the contract, shit or get off the pot, right? Give him the contract, trade him. I don't give a fuck. But I'm tired of talking about this shit. We need to talk about 2024 as the season with the team going forward, because this is a Super Bowl window, Super Bowl team. We're in it to win it, whatever you want to say. But, like, why are we talking about this one guy, And so it's done. It's over with. I think that both sides feel like they gave up a little bit. That's probably the best thing for the negotiation, but we can move on. It's time to talk about Trent Williams. It's time to talk about the Jets. And unfortunately, it's time to talk about, other things in life that happen that are just really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Oh,
last thing on this, Mac, then I'll toss to you. I just want to say the reports were that Aiyuk was at practice, right? He just wasn't practicing
on the field.
It's very well possible that he just wasn't practicing in the section open to media, and that he went and practiced after the media was asked to leave, and that section is not accessible, not recordable, not filmable, whatever it is. I'm just saying, hold in is different than a hold out, and I wouldn't put it past it, because he went to the Vegas game, as a sign of good faith. And Kyle went out there and said, he went because he was healthy. We expect all of our healthy players to go. Maybe there was even more good faith being shown, and he's saying, look, I'll practice, but I'm not going to practice where they can see it and report it, because then that's going to hurt my end. So I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. Hopefully he's not as far back, like conditioning wise, than he would if he didn't practice for the past 3-4 months.
What I will say is, if he comes out and he like sprains an ankle, or he gets hit, or like concussion or whatever, that's whatever. What I don't want to see from Brandon Aiyuk is, he tweaked a calf, he tweaked a groin, he tweaked a hamstring.
Yeah.
Those are all conditioning issues, which Brandon Aiyuk has not had to this point. Yep. at least to the extent that some of the other players have had. So again, those will be the downfalls that I'll just look at this team and been like, damn, dude, if you guys would have got this done 3 weeks earlier, maybe he gets in there and he starts practicing and he starts, getting into football shape, as it were.
Yeah.
And being able to avoid those soft tissue injuries that we've seen. Christian McCaffrey essentially misses the entire preseason with a calf strain or whatever. I'm not too concerned about that. Again, he's been a full participant in practice. Not a big deal. But when you talk about a guy that's coming on a contract, again, we talk about Nick Bosa last year, right? He comes off, and we talked about on the show, Mike, you talked about it, I talked about it, where, hey, Nick Bosa doesn't look like Nick Bosa. It's not quite there. And it's taken a long time. And dude got paid, and now he's kind of playing like shit. But if you look at the last 8 games of Nick Bosa, he played a lot better. Particularly after the bye week, it seems like he came on and was able to be the Nick Bosa of old. I would expect Nick Bosa to be, again, if healthy, above 15 sacks this season, just because he's had a full training camp or whatever. But when you look at Aiyuk in that same kind of similar situation, you just wonder, hey, is this extended hold in contract negotiation, not working out with the team, conditioning what it is? You can be away from football, but again, being in shape and being in football shape are 2 entirely different things. And you can think that you're doing the right thing by, hey, I'm running treadmills, I'm running sprints, I'm doing this. But again, when you're asked on the line to, hey, I got to beat press man coverage, run this route at full speed, at full go, that's different than just running a sprint up a hill or whatever the case may be. That's 2 entirely different things. So we don't know how Brandon Aiyuk is going to respond. I would have liked to see him get in a little bit earlier, but we're going to see what it is going forward. Hopefully, again, past the Jets, I think the schedule for the 49ers, particularly early, is very opportune to allow Brandon Aiyuk to kind of work his way in, and he won't necessarily be needed in the way he will be later in the season, particularly, I think, weeks 12 through 16. But again, you would have liked to get that out of the way early. It's going to be interesting to see what his conditioning is going to be and how quickly he can get up to NFL regular season speed.
Mike,
the very last thing I want to say about this whole, the Niners getting deals done late, right? There's 3 ways to look at it. From the team perspective, it's costing us more getting these deals done this late because everyone else is signing before, and we have to compete with the market at that point in time. That's number 1. Yep. Number 2 is from the fans' perspective. Like, why are you waiting so long? It's the agita, it's the nerves and all that stuff, right? Are we going to lose this guy? Are we going to lose this guy?
Agita is a great word, by the way, Mike. Agita, it's a great word.
I couldn't figure out an English word for it, so I'm sorry, but that's what I got for you guys. Sorry. The third way is, and it kind of favors the players and the team. The team is in. We want to reward you guys. Let's see what the market is, and then we'll pay you in the respective slot, right? Like, so while we're looking at it as a negative, I think the players prefer to get the deals done later. If he signed that deal in February, his top 5 money would have put him around 11 or 12 right now.
Good point.
Right. And so I know it's AAV and it doesn't really mean a ton, right? But the players are also going to walk away. And when they go to talk to their peers, it's like, this, I'm getting $30 million a year, right? Like that's where I'm slotted right now. Brandon Aiyuk is telling everybody that he knows me and Tyreek Hill have the same value right now. We're tied for $30 million a year. So it could be something that is actually positive for the players, and they might be okay with, because the Niners are still paying it out. We haven't lost anybody in this part of the negotiations so far. So the players could even still be like, it's going to work out. Debo kept saying over and over, when I talked to Aiyuk, I told him, hey, just let it ride its course, do your thing. Everything is going to work out. Kittle had the same exact advice for Aiyuk as well, right? Like, let it happen later on, because if they pay you early, you're going to fall behind where they have you slotted. So it could still actually be a good thing from that perspective. I just want us to remember that.
Yeah, Mike, we have a comment here from Joey when Matt brought up Aiyuk and his suit that he had ready. Joey said he saved the suit for the party. Now they have this roster party every year. It looks like this year was Great Gatsby themed. I'll bring up the picture, but Mike, there was a kind of a bit of a controversy around this party, as you know, because of what happened yesterday, which we will get into next. What were your thoughts? They had none other than Rick Ross at this party.
Ricky Ross.
Look at Kyle. He had a cane. You got Aiyuk
Had a
and Debo
cane.
there.
Got the watch on. Look at it. Look at the shoes, man. Come on, baby. You know, this is the 53-man roster party that they have. And you know, the show must go on, you know, right? And this is gonna sound
don't tell that to Lowell Cone, brother.
Fuck, come on, don't get me started. But what I will say is this, right? Whether things turned out the absolute worst for Ricky Pearsall, or they turned out the way that they did for Ricky Pearsall, right? The season doesn't stop, and you still have to cater to the rest of the people on the team. I'm glad that the 49ers still held their event. I'm glad that they held their party the way that they were supposed to, because they have to keep spirits uplifted, right? One of the first players I saw tweet something about Ricky Pearsall, I don't even know if it was a tweet or an Instagram post, was Debo. And so it was like, hey, he's good. You know, thanks for the prayers, or whatever his little short post was. But it's to the point where it's like, guys, we got to realize that this is a business that includes not just 53, but you know, the practice squad and all that stuff. These guys have to keep the show going, and it's their jobs to keep spirits high. We can't walk around mourning all year. You know, we got to do things for that player. We have to find a way to inspire. And I'm not lying to you guys. I liked it. And this was at Kyle's house. This is the party that they do at Kyle's house. This is my first time hearing that they do this every year at Kyle's house. I didn't know that until this year. So I thought this was absolutely phenomenal for the team. And the reason you don't see John Lynch in any of these photos is because he was at the hospital with Ricky Pearsall and his family. So, you know, they did exactly what they needed to do to make sure that all perspectives were covered. It's the most respectable thing that the team can do.
And that's the thing. It's like, you can't expect, again, you're talking about a huge event with, again, Rick Ross is there. People who aren't players are there. There's going to be a certain amount of maybe fundraising aspect to this thing, philanthropy thing, you know, aspect to this. This was well after the reports were coming out that Ricky Pearsall was stable. Anybody saying that Kyle Shanahan shouldn't have done this or whatever, listen, Kyle Shanahan knew what the situation was before this went on. If it was going to be a serious sort of thing, I don't think Kyle would have, you know, again, if God forbid Ricky Pearsall would have died, I don't think that this whole thing would have gone on. But the fact of the matter is that at this point, Ricky Pearsall was listed as stable, as in a position where there was nothing else to be done. You know, I'm sure Kyle touched base with Ricky Pearsall with his family, but at the same time, it's just, you can't stop what you're doing 100% because of this tragedy. You can't stop it because of this incident. And anybody saying that, oh, this was a failure, this was Kyle being like a piece of shit, this was that, it's very short-sighted. It's very judgmental. And I think that it's very easy for people on the outside to be like, oh, they should have not done this because of Ricky Pearsall. At the same time, this team, who's to say that Kyle wasn't instructed by John or was in communication with John, where it's like John Lynch was like, I got the hospital thing, take care of the 53 party. We're going to business as usual. I will take care of this. Don't worry about it. Right? Very much that happens all the time in business.
Talk your shit.
In any sort of business, by the way, in any sort of friend group, right? Where it's like in a tragedy in a friends group, one friend takes the point and is like, look, I got this. You guys don't have to worry about it. Like, we'll let you know if we need anything, but at this time, and again, for the person involved, for Ricky Pearsall, maybe he doesn't want to be doted over. I mean, the man took a gunshot wound to the chest and walked his ass to the fucking ambulance. He didn't sit on the ground like a bitch. He got up and was like, no, I'm going to walk to the ambulance or whatever. Who's to say that he didn't want, hey, look, listen, don't make a fuss over me. Everything is business as usual. I will be okay. Like, don't worry about it. Like, do your thing, right? John Lynch was at the hospital with Ricky Pearsall. Again, this is an organization. This is a team. This is a collective effort, whether it's the last guy on the 53 or the first guy on the 53. This team is going to take care of business. This team is always taking care of its players. So for people to come out and criticize Kyle for continuing to have this party is complete fucking bullshit. Lowell Cone, suck a dick, dude.
There it
okay?
is. A fat
Collect your AARP and your Social Security check. Enjoy your retirement. No disrespect. But at the same time, don't go after Kyle when you don't know what the circumstance is. John could have legitimately told him, don't fucking come to the hospital. Continue this 53-man party because this is important for donors, for people who are associated with the team. This helps
team
us
morale.
build dollars, team morale. It helps everything XYZ. I got Ricky Pearsall. Don't worry about it. When we know more, by all means, call in to Ricky, come visit Ricky, but we don't need everybody to stop their entire lives because of what happened. Ricky is stable. Ricky is okay. I got Ricky. You guys go about your business. I don't understand why that is such a hard concept to understand, that the world still turns on its axis, even though Ricky Pearsall got shot. And I will be the first person to tell you that I'm disappointed that San Francisco is not a safe place to be for somebody just walking down the street. It's very disappointing. It's a city that I grew up in. It's a city that I love. But, at the same time, to jump to, and I've seen it. Again, Ricky Pearsall shouldn't have been wearing a Rolex. That's some fucking bullshit, dude.
No, that's not true.
That's some bullshit. Like, fuck
Yeah.
you. Fuck you for that, okay? Don't blame the person that got shot. At the same time, don't blame the coach for something that is out of his control and that is something that we have no idea what the communication is.
Come on.
Again, John Lynch was at the hospital with Ricky Pearsall. How many people do you need in a room? I can tell you as somebody that has been a patient in a hospital, that I work in a hospital and I've seen patients. Again, the last thing that you want is too much hullabaloo about what you're going through, about what's happening to you, because the fact of the matter is you're focused on recovery, and a lot of times you feel too shitty to even deal with it, and you don't want to make the show about you. Any real person, any real man, any real professional is going to look at it and say, I don't want this to be about me. Okay, go about your business. I want the team to focus on winning. I'm sure that Ricky Pearsall was saying, like, hey, man, let's focus on the Jets. Don't worry about me. I will be back when the time is right. But let's go beat the Jets. If you're any sort of person, right? Like, again, at the same time, you can't judge Kyle Shanahan for doing that. So anybody doing that it's fucking stupid. I feel like everything is on the up and up. Everybody's been communicating. If I know anything about this team, it's that they have great communication between players, coaches, staff, front office, whatever. So I think this
Ian
is
Sharp,
par for the course. It's great stuff.
Ian Sharp, you're my guy, but you're wrong with that comment you posted right there. Has nothing to do with the Rolex, has nothing to do with any of that shit. That was just someone trying to take an opportunity that they saw presented to them in that exact moment.
That's some bullshit, man. That's some bullshit.
I've been held at gunpoint.
He was shopping at Louis Vuitton. Like, there's a Louis Vuitton store in San Francisco. So what's to say if he comes out of that store with a bag that somebody doesn't try to rob him? Right. Are you saying, hey, don't go fucking shop at Louis Vuitton? Like, fuck you and your money. Don't go buy nice things for yourself. Listen, that's bullshit. That's victim blaming 101.
I've been held up at gunpoint in a car, in a Chevy, an old Chevy, with no jewelry on at all. People see an opportunity, they see what they think is an easy mark, and they will just take advantage of it. You have no idea how desperate somebody is. You might be wearing a Hanes t-shirt, and that person can't afford it, and they might think it's worth it at that time to take that risk. You have no idea what the other person on the other side is going through. It has nothing to do with the Rolex, the jewelry, or anything like that. It was an opportunity that someone saw and tried to take. And I want to give you guys a real life example. All right, this is 100% real. Nothing I'm about to say is fabricated at all. All right. My grandmother is 88 years old. She's going through Parkinson's, dementia, and all kinds of other shit. Her body is failing her right now. She started morphine last week because the hospice company says, let's make her as comfortable until she transitions. Right. My grandmother, 3 weeks ago, we said, family, on Labor Day, we're going to throw a big party at grandma's house. At her house, not around, not near. This might be her last hurrah. If she makes it that long, we will all be there and be able to say our goodbyes to her. If she happens to transition before then, We will at least do this in honor of her. The party is still going to go on, right? 4 days ago, my aunt sent out a text message and they notified the family. The doctors say she might not have 3 days left. Now, as of this very moment, she's still with us, knock on wood. She's still with us, knock on wood. But I promise you, had she passed last night, if she passes while we're on live right now, we are still going to have this gathering at her house tomorrow for Labor Day. The show goes on. That's the way it is in the real world. I don't think she would want us to cancel that. She would love nothing more than for her family and her descendants to gather in her honor. So that's I'm not saying that that's how Ricky felt or would have felt. I don't know that, but you don't stop what you have planned because something like this happens in the meantime.
And I want to point out this comment right here is a fucking problem. This is the problem. Yes, but having jewelry is more of a risk, period. Why? Why is it more of a risk? Why is it that it's on the person who has the jewelry to hide the jewelry or not wear the jewelry? Why is it that?
Don't drive an expensive car
rather than people who fucking rob them, right? Oh, I can't buy a nice car because somebody might carjack me. Again, that is the most stupid fucking thing I've ever heard. And no disrespect to you, Observe Natural Evolution. No disrespect to you, but that's a stupid fucking comment. You're victim blaming right now. You're saying don't wear a fucking Rolex. Why not? It's a fucking watch, dude. It's a watch. I can't go outside and wear a watch. Why do people have to covet so badly what I have that they're willing to kill me or try to kill me or shoot me in the chest because I have something nice?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
And
why is that a bad thing that Ricky?
Way.
And by the way, I saw the pictures from the signings that he was wearing that Rolex out, and it's not like a diamond encrusted.
It wasn't
Rolex.
Even that nice.
You wouldn't even know
nice.
It's somebody who has. You have to be a professional thief to even predict, like to even spot that type of Rolex. You have to be on the lookout for that shit. And you're telling me that's Ricky Pearsall? Don't wear jewelry. It's a risk, period. That's some fucking bullshit, dude.
Come on.
Don't buy Jordans. Don't buy a nice car. Don't buy a nice watch. Yes, you've made it. Yes, you make a lot of money. But guess what? Don't do anything. Wear a fucking white t-shirt. Wear some bullshit ass like Wrangler jeans. Wear some fucking crusty ass shoes. Don't do anything. It's your fault that you walk through a city that should be safe and get robbed because you're wearing nice things. No, it's not on the mayor's office. It's not on the police department. It's not on any of the crime enforcement. It's not on any of that stuff. It's on you because you have a nice thing and how dare you wear that watch? Shut the fuck up, dude. Come on.
That's it.
Like, no disrespect to you, Observe. It's not just you. It's been a lot of people. And it's not just you. But I will say to blame Ricky Pearsall for getting shot because he wore a fucking watch is the dumbest thing that I've ever heard of.
Yeah. And I told Zach before we started the show, I had a little rant to go on here, right?
Yeah. By the way, Zach, after Mike's done, you can play my thing.
Oh no, fuck that. Play it now.
Yeah,
like fuck it. Give it to him. Give it to him, baby. I saw a lot of really nasty angled posts and even videos from 49ers content creators, people who think they're 49ers insiders and all that surrounding the situation. This was the most disappointed and disgusted I've been with the 49ers community in a very, very long time. Now, I'm going to say this, and I don't know if you guys posted anything personally. I don't know if you guys posted it from the 49ers Hive page. I don't even know if you guys did a video on the Ricky Pearsall situation. I got DMs. Mike, are you going to do breaking news? No, I'm not doing breaking news. I'm not creating a graphic. I'm not doing any of that shit. My post was very simple. Prayers to all parties involved. I don't know the situation. I don't know if it's critical. I don't know if it's not critical. I don't give a fuck what exactly was going on. Prayers up to everybody involved and the victims. That's what my post was. It's right here on the screen. That's it. No graphics. I'm not looking for likes. I'm not looking for clicks. I'm not looking to profit off of any of this stuff. but we
100%.
saw people crashing out and going absolutely crazy. I'm the closest to this situation and blah, blah, blah. You guys look like fucking morons doing this at this time right now. I couldn't believe the bullshit that I was seeing from people in this so-called 49ers family and community trying to capitalize on a situation like this. People couldn't wait to do a fucking breaking news video about something that was this tragic without any information being verified or certified. I couldn't fucking believe it. Like, I was absolutely disgusted seeing
And by
this.
the way, Ian Sharp, normally I agree with a lot of what you say, but you saying no one is saying it's his fault, that's patently false. There are a lot of people saying he shouldn't have worn a Rolex in San Francisco. And it's like, fucking why? Why? Because that place is a fucking shithole now.
Can I?
Everybody who bristled against, by the way, and this is a baseball thing, but anybody who bristled against the fact that somebody who was a free agent in baseball said a lot of people are saying like nobody wants to come to San Francisco because it's not deemed safe. It's not deemed to be a safe city to go to. It's deemed as dirty. It's deemed as there's a lot of homeless people. It's deemed there's a lot of crime. And you guys were all fucking up in arms about that shit. You guys, to a T, a lot of people were like, that's bullshit. That's not true. I live in San Francisco and it's fucking fine. Blah, 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 blah. You're the same people sitting here and blaming Ricky Pearsall for wearing a fucking watch and going like, you shouldn't wear a Rolex in fucking San Francisco. You know, and again, this is not directed at Ian Sharp. It's not directed at Observed Natural Evolution. It's not directed at those parties in particular, but it is a generalization of what the narrative is out there. And to say that, oh, he shouldn't have worn that watch or whatever, to say that nobody is saying that it's Ricky Pearsall's fault, that's not true, because there's a lot of people saying he shouldn't have worn that watch. And that's fucking bullshit. Yeah. To say you shouldn't wear something that you own, that's stupid. You can't go outside and wear a nice watch because why? Somebody's going to fucking shoot you?
Guys,
that's a problem.
There's been people robbed in Calabasas, Beverly Hills, and all kinds of shit. Like, come on, we got to stop acting like San Francisco is the only place where something like this could possibly happen.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
Not you. I'm talking to them. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them. The people saying that he shouldn't have worn it in San Francisco. Let's stop acting like San Francisco is like the only place where crime happens. That's like telling Philadelphia Eagles players they can't drive nice cars to the facility. Like let me ask you guys this question. What's the difference between wearing a Rolex and someone trying to get you for your wallet? If they know who you are, they know your net value, they know who
this is another
you
thing.
Signed your contract for and what's in your bank account. Like, stop it. Like, we're doing
Observe Natural Evolution. You say it's also stupid to assume you won't get robbed at all. Why? Why is it stupid to assume you won't get fucking robbed in America in 2024? Why is that a stupid assumption that you walk out your door and you expect to be safe in a first world country, in one of the most populated and richest and most well-off countries in the world, one of the most societally evolutionized countries in the world? Why is that? Like, are we in fucking Afghanistan, bro? Are we in fucking Azerbaijan? Are we in Gaza? Are we in wherever else that there's strife? Are we in fucking Russia? Are we in Ukraine? Are we in any of these? We're in the United States of America, but I shouldn't have the assumption that I can walk outside and wear a watch and not get robbed. And where the fuck do you live, dude? What are your expectations for life? Because for me, that's a no-go, buddy. I served in the United States Army to preserve people's rights to do what they want to do, to make sure that they felt safe, to make sure that they could go outside and do what they need to do. You know what I mean? Right. Like what the fuck are you talking about? You can't go outside without the assumption you're going to get robbed. What the fuck are you talking about? No disrespect to you as a person, but that take is fucking stupid.
It just doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, we got to be real here, guys. Like, I mean, come on. I wear Versace shades on shows and stuff like that. If someone wants to try to stick me for $1,500 glasses, like sunglasses, I can't stop them from doing that. If someone wanted to stick me for my $35 Filas, I can't stop them from doing that either.
I drive a Tesla. Can I not park somewhere because I drive a Tesla?
like what we're saying just fucking doesn't make any sense, guys. It is absolutely wrong to sit there and say Pearsall shouldn't have had this on. It's no different than someone trying to get him for his wallet. I promise you, no matter what he was wearing in that exact moment, his wallet was worth more. So it doesn't make a difference what we're talking about here. That's like saying, oh, well, you're rich, so you can't go outside. That doesn't make any sense.
And Terror Dog hits it on the head. Terror Dog hits it on the head. He's in a high-end area of San Francisco. He's in Union Square. He was at a fucking Louis Vuitton store.
Come on, bro.
Like, you're not what you can't wear a Rolex in the area where they sell Louis Vuitton. Like, these are not congruous things. People who are saying he shouldn't have worn that watch have no idea what reality is.
I have this article here from the SF Chronicle, how an SFPD sergeant may have saved 49ers Ricky Pearsall's life. And I'm going to read a bit of it. Sergeant Joelle Harrell was standing near the corner of Grant and Post just before 4 p.m. on Saturday when she heard 3 pops about a block south of her. For a moment, she wondered if it was skateboarders who often frequent Maiden Lane, but the noise was too loud. She started running south towards Geary and called out over the radio she was going to investigate possible gunshots nearby. As she passed Maiden Lane, she looked left and right. No skateboarders. Those are gunshots, she thought. She ran past a shop where shoppers were standing in front, seemed to have not registered what was happening. When they saw her running, they scattered. It took her less than a minute to reach the end of her block and dart around a muni bus that was idling at the corner. Then she saw him, the shirtless man crouched by a U.S. post office box with blood covering his scalp and seeping from his chest wound. There was so much blood, she said. The situation was moving so fast she didn't even ask his name. She grabbed him by the shoulders and fired off some questions. What happened? What did the shooter look like? Where had he gone? And were those sandals lying on the ground the shooters? The victim, San Francisco 49ers first-round draft pick Ricky Pearsall, had been walking back to his Tesla after shopping at Ramona and Louis Vuitton when a 17-year-old boy from Tracy had accosted him and tried to rob him. At the moment, though...
How dare he drive that Tesla?
Harrell didn't know that.
How dare he?
He tried to rob me, Harrell recalled the man telling her. He told her the shooter looked like a young man with dark curly hair who had been wearing all black. He headed east down Geary, running barefoot because his black and white slip-off sandals had fallen off. She yelled to a motorcycle officer who had just arrived to put the news of the robbery out on the radio. She turned to another sergeant who arrived on the scene to call him an ambulance. By that time, she grabbed Pearsall's shirt, pressing it into his chest to create pressure on the wound. She pressed her baseball cap against the exit wound in his back. I was using my hand for the front just to create a suction so the air wouldn't enter the wound, she said. She said she could feel him getting tense, the anxiety and fear filling him as he realized the extent of his injuries. He was a football player, he said, for the 49ers. Harrell was trying to keep pressure on his wounds and slow the bleeding. Stay calm, she told him. Pearsall asked if he was going to die. No, she reassured him. It wasn't his time. Harrell, a devout Catholic, started praying. You're strong, she kept telling him. Just focus on the breathing. And he listened, Harrell recalled. He calmed down, and that's what I wanted him to do. Within minutes, more sirens filled the air. That siren is the ambulance, she told him. It's here for you. It's just a matter of time before we get you in there. Another officer arrived. Was the guy they detained down the street the shooter? Go look at him, the officer told her. About 200 feet east, she found a young man wearing all black with no shoes. Police later said he'd suffered a gunshot wound to his arm, apparently incurred during the altercation. He looked exactly as Pearsall described. Keep that guy there.
Come on, man.
Okay,
Holy shit.
there's a couple of things.
First, can we just applaud this woman here? Like that was great heroics, great actions. Yes, I'm going to have a soundboard for you guys soon. We'll be able to do this.
I want to say, did the suspect get shot by police or did Ricky Pearsall wrestle?
There was a scuffle for the gun.
Okay,
is what's been.
So it sounds like maybe
they're not going to say who shot who, but they're going to say
right.
Scuffled and
I will just say this: if there was one thing that I would have liked Ricky Pearsall to have done different, just give up your fucking watch, bro. You're an NFL player who's going to make millions of dollars. If you try to have a scuffle or whatever, there was a scuffle, right? At the time that the dude was like, "Give me your fucking watch," he should have been like, "Cool, bro, take it."
But it's
not worth it. It's not worth your life. It's not worth your life. He makes millions of dollars. It doesn't matter. No, you can't make the argument that he should have done anything different than been like, here you go.
Hear me out. I'm not saying that's not what happened. I'm not saying that is what happened. I saw this stupid ass tweet going around saying, "Oh, he stood on business." Fuck
Oh
all
my
of that.
God, yeah.
I'm going to reiterate to you guys that I have had a gun in my face and been held up before. You don't control if a scuffle is going to ensue in a situation like that. You don't control it. Someone can gun butt you, and now you're in defense mode. And once you put your hands up, they might jump on you because they don't really intend to shoot or kill you. You have no control over that kind of situation. I'm speaking from experience. You don't control that. Because when I had a gun in my face, I thought I was going to shit on myself. This is no tough guy talk at all. I was 1,000,000% bitch. The problem was I had nothing to give the person with a gun in my face, and they don't want to hear that. So my point is, we don't know if he even said, "I'm not going to give you the watch." The guy may have wanted to take the watch off of him and tried to grab Ricky, and he could have pulled his arm back, not knowing what exactly was going on.
That's
There's
resistance.
a million things that could have happened.
But again, that's resistant. That's my only thing. Whether the guy wanted to fucking jerk you off or whatever the fuck he wanted to do, if he's got a gun in your face, just let him do what he's going to do. It's not worth your life for a watch, for a wallet, for whatever. Just give him whatever the fuck he wants. I know I'm not trying to minimize your situation, Mike. I'm not.
It's not really about me.
But if a guy says, "Give me your fucking watch," I would just go, "Boop."
I think Mike's saying it's kind of your natural reaction. If somebody grabs at your wrist, you're probably gonna like yank back and then maybe
what's going on? Yeah.
Just a natural reaction.
So the only thing that I can think of in that situation is if the guy did not have the gun in the beginning and just tried to strong arm the watch and then pulled the gun after the fact. Right. That's something different. But if the guy pulled a gun on Ricky and said, "Give me your fucking car, your keys, your wallet, whatever," and Ricky Pearsall said, like, "Nah, fuck you, dude." Like, that's the only, again, this is all speculation. Observe natural evolution. You ain't never been in a real situation that tells. I'm a fucking U.S. Army veteran. Go fuck yourself, bitch. Go fuck yourself. I volunteered after 9/11 to serve this country. I volunteered to go to war to protect assholes like you. So you can go fuck yourself. Like, I don't tell a lot of people this. Suck my fucking dick, bitch. Fuck you.
All right. Mike.
All I'm trying to say is I don't think that Ricky Pearsall just decided to be tough, and I could be wrong. I don't think that's what his brain immediately switched to. He is a rookie drafted in the first round. The NFL makes it a point to put these guys through classes and courses with how to handle new money. I can almost guarantee you that everything that he had from his car to his watch was insured, and he would have had no problem just giving those items up. And so I don't think it was a tough guy moment for him to say, "Oh, I'm not giving up anything."
That's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm saying is if it was a situation where the guy was like car, phone, wallet, Ricky Pearsall, again, it would best serve him to be like, "Fucking here you go." If that's not what happened and he tried to, like, again, if it was like a snatch attempt, like a snatch and grab like attempt, and Ricky Pearsall was like, "What the fuck, bro?" And then the guy pulled the gun on him, there's nothing you can do in that situation. Again, that's a very fluid and very sudden situation. That's not something that you can do and deal with in that situation. Again, no problem. That's not a problem at all. I'm just saying, like, there's nothing that you have that's worth your life.
Right.
So
yeah. And
so again, I'm not
trying
trying to blame Ricky Pearsall. That's not what I'm trying to do at all. I hope that's not.
No, everything we're doing is speculation because we can't speak to the mindset of any of the two people involved at the exact time. You know what I'm saying? All I want to drive home is this. I could not stand that he stood on business, because that tells me that you don't know what standing on business even means, first of all. Like, that was not the right time to use that kind of quote. That was a disgusting tweet that I saw.
Standing on business makes it seem like it's like a tough guy situation. Again, there's no tough guy when it comes to a gun in your face. Like,
exactly.
Like, tough guys are dead guys. That's the thing with guns. It's not. This is not a game. This is not. Again, as you know, I'm 42 years old. There's nothing in this world that would make me say, "Oh yeah, like, fucking this is a game." Well, dude, if somebody held me up, I'm giving them whatever they want just so that I can get home to my wife and my daughter. It's not worth it. It's just stuff. It's not worth whatever. I've been robbed before. I've been pistol whipped before. It's not worth whatever the situation is. Just give them what they want. and
Yeah.
you give them what they want,
Yeah.
and you pray that they leave you alone.
All I was trying to drive home is that a scuffle and a physical altercation isn't always in the control of the person who is being stuck up. That's all I was trying to drive home.
Yeah.
Lucky for me, when I had a gun in my face, I was inside a vehicle, so it's a little bit tougher for a scuffle to take place. You know what I'm saying? Like that guy couldn't have done but so much. He could either the shot or the situation played out the way that it played out. But there was little things. If we were face to face on the streets, it could have been very, very different. And so
Sure.
I just what I didn't want people to think is that Ricky Pearsall is some tough guy, because what you do is when you put that notion out there, what that does is it pumps someone else up to say, oh, I bet I can get him. I don't want that notion or mindset to even be out in the universe when it comes to this kid. This is a young man who has everything ahead of him, literally everything ahead of him. So I don't want that to be out there. Okay. I don't want us to sit here and make it sound like he decided, I'm not giving up my Rolex. We're going to fight for this shit. I don't think that.
No,
I don't think that was the mindset. And even if it was the mindset, I don't want us to be responsible for putting that energy into the universe. So I want us to be very careful with how we.
Here's the thing: we got guys in our group chat that were talking about family members and stuff being at the signing that Ricky Pearsall was doing like shortly before the incident. It's not like this dude was just out there being like a fucking piece of shit, or like, hey man, like I'm hard, I'm like a fucking banger, like I'm doing my thing. The guy was out there and he had just done, a signing. He was going to a different thing, and he happened to be in a bad situation. That can happen to anybody.
Yep.
So
yeah. Hey, observer, really quick. We did not mean to ban you from their channel.
I'm not trying to ban you. I just want you to understand. He said, I almost got killed, and Matt was crying. Listen, bro, you ain't almost got killed like the same way that I almost got killed. Let's not compare. It's not a contest. If you almost got killed for real, I'm sorry that happened to you. But at the same time, you should know that like there's shit that you can do, or there's shit that you can pray for that will try to prevent that. And you shouldn't go looking for trouble. And at the same time, you shouldn't expect trouble to come your way just because you're walking down the street with a nice watch. That's my point.
What I was saying,
bad shit happens, but you shouldn't expect that in the United States. You shouldn't expect that in California. You shouldn't expect that in a civilized society. You should not expect the fact that like, oh, I wear a watch and somebody might not have that, so I should be on the lookout for getting robbed. That's not something that's normal to be expected in society. And don't tell me that I've never been in a situation where life has been leveraged just because you disagree with my position, because that's bullshit, man. That's weak. You should be better than that. Do better.
I have a statement here from his mom, and then Mike will get to you, and then we can move on. This is from Ricky Pearsall's mom, Erin Pearsall. By the way,
this is tough to read as a parent for me.
It is tough to read, but to me, it just screams classic mom Facebook post. Like I could see my mom posting something like this. Update on my baby boy. First and foremost,
right there.
I want to thank God for protecting my baby boy. He is extremely lucky. God shielded him. He was shot in the chest and it exited out his back. Thanks be to God. It missed his vital organs. He is in good spirits right now. Life is so precious, my friends. Please love each other. My son was spared today by the grace of God. Please pray for my baby.
So from my perspective as a medical professional, what I would say is maybe like the bullet hit in like maybe the pectoral above where the right lung would be, because it looked like he got shot on the right side. And then it exited in between where the chest, like where the arm and the torso meet, beyond where the scapula is, and came out. So if it's a clean through and through, it obviously, if it hit bone, it probably wouldn't have been a clean through and through. We have to worry about potentially tendon or ligament injury, but that's going to be disclosed further in the future. The biggest thing for me, and I guess we're going to jump into this in terms of full throat jumping into the Ricky Pearsall thing. The fact that he got released from the hospital less than 24 hours after the incident says that it was a really clean through and through, and no major structures were injured. And that is such a blessing for that young man. That's the best thing that we could have hoped for in this situation, and that he is going to be on the mend very, very quickly. So it looks like if he was shot in the chest, you're looking at muscle belly recovery. You're looking at, again, soft tissue, whether that's, muscle, whether that is, just subcutaneous fat tissue, whether that is skin tissue. It doesn't look like any major structures were injured by the fact that he was released less than 24 hours after the incident. It is very much a blessing, and it's the best thing that we could have hoped for. Even still, again, if you're looking at a bullet going through muscle tissue, he's probably going to miss, I would say, 8 to 12 weeks just for those injuries, just to heal all the way, for him to start getting back to the point where he's going to be able to stay conditioned, to the point where he's going to be able to do things where it's not going to hurt. I mean, you're talking about this bullet passed through his entire body. It's going to be a lengthy recovery. We saw something similar with Brian Robinson, unfortunately, a couple of years ago, and Brian Robinson was able to come back in the middle of the season. I would expect something similar for Ricky Pearsall, maybe a little bit quicker, because Brian Robinson was shot in the thigh. So the lower body, as a running back, that's a different animal altogether. Ricky Pearsall may be able to come back a little quicker than that, but I would expect, again, chest, you want to make sure that you don't have any involvement with the lungs. You don't have any involvement with the rotator cuff or pectoralis major tendon. There are things that, again, that is the right shoulder. I'm not sure. I don't know if I've seen the reports. I don't know if that's the same shoulder that he's been having the issue with the subluxations. Again,
think about the shoulder thing.
You worry about a lot of these conjoining things if this is going to cause more problems. I would estimate, just to be on the safe side, 8 to 12 weeks, which would put him around mid-season, maybe after the bye week is probably a safe bet. But it's so much. There's so much to be thankful for that this wasn't worse than it is. And Ricky Pearsall looks like he's going to be able to recover very quickly from this. And thankfully, he's out of the hospital less than 24 hours that he went in. And I don't think that we can ask for anything more than that. Prayers up to him and his family. I hope he recovers quickly.
Yeah. Mike, do you have anything else to add on this?
No, it's just good that the situation played out the way that it did. I've seen accidental gunshots from guys playing around and cleaning guns in a room end up more serious and disastrous than this. So, imagine like in a scuffle and fighting for your life in that moment. It's just this turned out. It sucks that it happened, but this turned out. I don't know how to say what I want to say, like as good as it could have. I don't know what the wording is. You know what I mean? There is no proper wording for it, but I'm glad. I'm not even glad. I don't know how to say it.
It's the best outcome for a shitty situation.
Yes. This could have. It's one of those things where it's this could have ended up way worse than it ended up, but like this is the best case scenario for what it is.
For what it was. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's it. So
all I'm going to say, this is the perfect makings for a ESPN 30 for 30 America's Team 2024. San Francisco 49ers win the championship. They had all this crazy shit in the offseason. The rookie receiver, top draft pick, gets shot.
I got a question for you guys. I'm going to try to lighten the mood a little bit here. Has there ever been a rookie comeback player of the year? What's up? What's up? Can we get the first one? What's up? Come on now. Are we on the precipice of something unforeseen before? No rookie quarterback has ever won a Super Bowl. We were this close with Brock Purdy. Can we get the first rookie comeback player of the year? What's up?
We very well might. That's a great point.
Let's go. I don't know.
At the very least, let's just imagine here for a second. Now let's take this back to football. Imagine that we get Ricky Pearsall back in the building over the bye week. And that's the same week that we get Dre Greenlaw coming back from an Achilles tear. And this sets this team up. And I'm kind of going through this right now as a baseball fan. I'm kind of going through this with the San Diego Padres because we have Yu Darvish coming back from a personal issue, and we have Fernando Tatis coming back from a stress fracture of his femur in September for the playoff run, getting ready to go. This could very well be something similar for the 49ers.
Yeah.
And this could be a catalyst maker. This could be something that pushes the Brandon Aiyuk and the Trent Williams contract talk to the side and be like, look, money is money. Bullshit is bullshit. But we got this guy who's coming back from injury. We got this guy who was robbed and was shot and wants to come back and do all this thing. Like, let's rally around this. And this could be the catalyst for the team. This could be the theme for the team, right? The 49ers have had themes, right? 2020 was like fucking, what revenge season or whatever
Revenge
the fuck
tour.
it was.
Yeah.
Revenge tour, Hot Boys, blah, 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 this and this and then. This could be the catalyst for the 2024 49ers to go through the season and really be like, hey, you know what? Bullshit is bullshit, but this team is family. We're going to rally around these guys. We would have won the Super Bowl if Dre Greenlaw would have played. Ricky, came in doing his best. He got shot. Like, he's still recovering. He wants to be part of this thing. Let's rally around these guys and go forward. There is positivity to be taken out of a bad situation like this that can guide the team forward if they allow it to be so. And that's what I would hope that would go forward for this.
Yeah, very well said. Very well said. Mike,
And I still got a solid fuck you for people trying to capitalize and monetize off of the situation. I don't give a fuck who you are, my people. I saw people that I really, really fuck with going live immediately before any news was confirmed. Fuck you. I that was fucking distasteful and disgusting. And I that shit I don't tolerate. That is some nasty shit.
And I feel you on that. What I'm talking about is like a grassroots grounded team. Like, this is the team coming around.
We're gonna rally around this.
This is not the media. This is not whatever else. This is not a marketing ploy. This is the locker room going like, fuck, man. Like, look, we lost last year and that sucked. And I'm sure Kittle and Debo and those guys, like, we all watched receiver. We know what it is, right? Like, we know how hard that was for those guys. But to come back and be like, look, we could go through this, but fucking Dre ripped his shit. Ricky got shot. Like, is losing a game like the end all be all? Or do we come around these motherfuckers and be like, look, Ricky walked his ass to the ambulance after getting shot? That's a hard motherfucker right there. You know what I mean? Like, we got these rookies coming in. We got Dre coming back. You know what? Fuck it. Why not us? Why not now? And that's the team mentality. And if the team does that organically, by all means, dude, do that shit. Yeah, I'm with you, Mike. Anybody capitalizing on, doing the gotcha game, Nick Newman specifically, fuck you. You try to play a gotcha game with somebody and say like, oh, why didn't you tweet this about the kids and this shooting, blah, 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 blah. Dude.
Travis King. Let's just say this. Shit. If you're not a reporter on the ground, or for some reason a cop or a EMT that was reporting on this, just leave it to the reporters. Why are you coming out here saying
who, what, where, why, how?
Coming out about Ricky Pearsall soon, sad face, and all this BS that Travis King was posting. What good does that do other than just drive clicks and engagement farm for your X payout next month? It's like, it's really shitty to do. Honestly, it's a really fucked up thing to do. And I wish
who, what, where, why, how? That's all you got to do.
Just leave it to the actual reporters who were doing a good job as it was. Why are you coming in here with all this extra BS and misinformation? It was really a travesty to see on top of what could have been a tragedy yesterday with Ricky Pearsall.
Exactly.
Mike,
he's in surgery fighting for his life. Like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
No,
like, what are you doing?
Here's the thing. It was Travis Scott in particular was like Travis King. Sorry, Travis Scott. No disrespect.
Talk about catching strays.
I know. Travis King, who was just like, oh man, the shit's going down with Ricky Pearsall. So sad. News coming soon. Prayers up, and then that's it. News coming soon. It's like, what's the news, fucker? Yeah. Like, why are you holding this shit? Why don't you just say, oh my God, I can't believe Ricky Pearsall was shot. Prayers up to his family, right? Like that's like a genuine reaction to the situation rather than like, let me obfuscate what I'm actually talking about so people really react with my tweet and then I can get mileage off of it. That's fucking gross, dude.
Yeah.
It's gross.
I agree 1000%. People just need to just leave it alone. Just let the reporters do their job. But I think that's going to do it for tonight's show.
Yep.
I got to go grill some meat. Mike.
No card.
Oh, shit.
No card tonight. We went a little late.
All right.
We'll save it for the next one. Mike, I'm sure the folks already know, but please let them know where to find you as the season is starting.
Yeah, no, listen, man. I got no promo, guys, man. You can head on over to the Patreon if you want. It's right there at the bottom of the screen, patreon.com/NB9ERS. I promise you guys, I am going to go out there and give my real sincere thoughts on all of this. This was the PG version of how I felt, and hopefully I can find a way to formulate my thoughts in a more professional manner when I go to share how I really feel about all this stuff. And I do want to give a kudos to my guys here at 49ers Hive. If you guys aren't following them, please make sure you head on over there. You see at the bottom, right underneath Zach at 49ers Hive, that is the X handle. And then they have it also here on the YouTube page. So go out there and give those guys a follow if you're not following them already, please.
Yo, Mike, when's the Patreon? Tuesday?
I record Patreon whenever I get extra time. I record.
Listen, brother. If you got Tuesday, let me hop on that. And I'll drop some more F words.
Done deal.
Let's do Tuesday.
Yep.
So I'm gonna jump on because I want to talk more about this Ricky Pearsall thing too. But people ain't ready for what I got to say about it. It's fine.
No. But we'll take a couple shots and then we're gonna go air motherfuckers out.
We're ready to go. Ready to go.
I can't tell you how absolutely disgusted I was with the shit that I was seeing on social media. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
man. I couldn't believe it.
Agreed.
It's fucking nasty.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nasty.
All right, Matt. Without further ado. Please.
Speaking of nasty, we will be back here midweek for you guys. We are going to preview the 49ers home opener, season opener, primetime game opener against the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers recovering from the Achilles. We're going to go over it all for you guys midweek. Please join us. Keep your calendars open. I'm thinking Zach, Wednesday probably?
That works for me if it works for you guys.
Wednesday, probably the best day to do that. We will go over the Jets versus 49ers, the Monday Night Football marquee matchup, primetime. Thank you so much for joining us. Mike, thank you as always for joining us. Please go subscribe. Mike Andrews Patreon, Nothing But Niners. Come over here, hit the like, hit subscribe, comment to 49ers Hive. We love having you here as always. For the guys, for myself, thank you as always for joining us. And until next time, go Niners.